It's 7:40 on a Wednesday morning. We are joined now by Sonia and Brad with Bryan Insurance. Good morning. How are y'all?
Good morning.
Doing great.
How's everybody? You guys are rocking and rolling. So your average is 27 years at Bryan Insurance.
26.
26 years.
Yeah, when people come, they stay.
That's pretty
That's
impressive.
good. I mean,
I know.
there's a few exceptions, but very few.
Very few. That's awesome.
Rare.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Like we could sit here if we wanted to enlist, the very handful of people that left.
Right, in the last 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, because it's just, yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. And y'all have been in business well over 100 years now. Celebrate your 100 year last year?
Last year, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's just, man,
It's
just
impressive.
goes to show what type of service that y'all are providing out there. What are we talking about today?
Well, I was walking through Walmart on this lovely Monday and noticed there's a bunch of umbrellas out there.
Ah, yeah.
Because it rained. It rained.
We've
on
got that thing called
Monday.
rain.
I know, it's so weird. It's just odd, but it made me laugh because when you walk into Walmart, they have the umbrella set up front.
Uh-huh.
It's already too late. You've
That's
already
right.
walked through the rain.
Yeah.
You're already wet.
Yeah.
So I was laughing about that because it's never too late to get an umbrella.
Oh! I see what you're doing
You like
there.
that segue?
Uh-huh.
I'm getting better at this radio thing.
Yeah, very good. I'm impressed.
So,
Yeah.
I would like to talk about self-resured retentions and umbrellas.
Perfect.
Have you ever heard of something like that?
The say that again. A self-retention what umbrella?
Let's start off on what is an umbrella.
Oh, we want to start with
Sure.
that?
Yeah, let's
Because there's
simplify this
misconceptions about that as well. Some people just think that means it just covers everything, which of course nothing covers everything. And some people think it has to do with the number of vehicles they have, but it doesn't. So we're going to talk personal umbrella today.
Yeah.
Which there's commercial umbrella too, but so you have your auto insurance and you have limits of insurance on there.
Right.
Liability, we're talking about liability. So if you have an accident, it's your fault, you hurt somebody else's property or another person's injured. But your homeowner's policy has liability limit on it. And so those are usually, each company has a maximum amount of limit they will allow. So an umbrella policy gives you limits above those limits. So say for simplicity's sake, I'll say that I have $300,000 liability on my auto.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a really bad accident and I've caused damage to 3 cars and then unfortunately some other people are hurt. My policy pays that $300,000 and they're done. That's it. I don't have any more insurance. Well, an umbrella policy will give you limits above that. And they start at $1 million and can go up from there. And so that's what an umbrella is.
It's kind of a safety net, right?
Well, yeah, it just gives you limits above your other limits. So, and everybody's like, well, how much do I need? It doesn't matter. Who knows?
No idea.
Yeah. So it does give you, those limits above, and it's not nearly as expensive to have an umbrella as say your auto liability because, chances are you're probably not going to need that umbrella. So the premiums are not as high as your auto, or your home.
The likelihood of an umbrella getting hit is extremely low, but when they do, it's damaging.
I mean, I could sit here and give a few examples, of clients that it happened. I mean, one of our clients that just sun got in their eyes and unfortunately they had it was just a really quick thing, had a bad accident and the other person passed away.
Oh.
And so their umbrella, thank goodness for that,
Yeah.
So that's what an umbrella is. It gives you limits, so it sits above your auto, your home, your liability limits. It sits
Right.
above and gives you higher limits.
And your primary coverages are the first to be
Yeah.
assessed.
Exactly.
And then anything in excess would be covered by the umbrella.
So that's what an umbrella is. Now we can talk about self-insured retention.
Self-insured retention?
Yes, SIRs. So basically, if you have those underlying limits, your autos, your home, and there's not coverage there, but it's not excluded on your umbrella, you can pay what is called a self-resured retention, and then your umbrella automatically kicks in to cover the rest.
Okay.
So these could be almost anything.
I have do you have some examples?
No, go for it. I was looking up on this. The only one I can always think of is our friends up there in Lubbock.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So now one thing about an umbrella is there's no standard form. So they're all different. So we're talking in general terms because
Right.
they're all different. But I know a lot of people that serve on nonprofit boards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I do. Brad does. I think you probably. I
Yeah.
mean, we all do. And you want that board to have directors and officers insurance, which is another subject for another day.
Right.
But if somebody comes after you individually because of something that happened on that board, there's a lot of times that's not excluded in the umbrella.
But it is excluded under your homeowners.
It might be excluded under your homeowners. So it's like $1,000. Sometimes they're $1,000. Sometimes they're $10,000.
They range depending on the cost you want. Primarily, it's $10,000 self-resured retention. But if you pay that $10,000, then that rest of the $1 million, that limit is free and clear for you and whatever you need it for.
And they'll also defend you. That's the big part of
They
it.
pay for the lawyer.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
Whether people are like, well, how could that ever happen? How could somebody come after me? It happens. It may or may not be legitimate, but you still have to defend it.
Right. That's true.
So that's one of those primary things. But it is a wonderful safety net for an excellent cost. And some people just are very confused because they think it's like an excess policy. Excess just extends the underlying policies. They don't cover anything else outside of that. Where an umbrella have these SIRs, and you can pay your $10,000, and you get even more additional coverage.
Mhm.
So most personal umbrellas are only a few $100. If you're really complicated, it could be up to $1,000 a year. But honestly, a few $100 to get $1 million worth of coverage is quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. And when you see the higher premiums, it's usually because there's, they rate it based on your underlying. So say you have some stuff on your driving record. You've had, so you're paying higher limits because you're more of a high risk.
I was gonna say you have a boat, you have jet skis, you have trampolines, you have love you, Peter, but you have your gosh, what did he cut Dad off of? The parasail.
The parasailing, yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You have parasail, stuff like that. That's where those umbrella premiums get increased.
But those people that have that stuff really need umbrellas.
Right. Yeah. They're
they-
probably going to be paying more.
They need
regardless.
more than $1 million. So, but yeah, it's something, like I said, it's something you hope you never need, but when you do, and we've seen it, and it's not something that happens every day or every week. Probably maybe once or twice a year at the most. One of our clients will actually have a loss that could go into their umbrella. So it's not, most of the time your underlying, hopefully, you have enough and that's going to cover. But if it doesn't,
Right.
you don't want your insurance company to say, okay, I'm going to write a check for this $300,000 and now you're on your own,
Right.
So,
Yeah, one of the craziest examples I've ever seen was we had an umbrella claim, and it started off of like $2-3 million. At the end of the court case, it had hit over $50 million.
Whoa.
Yeah. So sometimes it can get out of hand,
Yeah,
but
that's wild.
Oh my goodness.
yeah, that's what those umbrellas are for.
Wow. Yeah. It's important. I mean, it's one of those things that you don't see the need until you see the need, and
Yeah.
that's the unfortunate part for some who just don't have it.
Yeah.
and I mean, another thing, that, in talking about this, is you need to look at what limits you have on your underlying too. I mean, it's so scary how many times we see people that have the state minimum, which is nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
What is it? Texas is $25,000 for
Yeah.
property damage.
Yeah. I mean,
How many people's vehicles are worth over $25,000?
Oh, yeah.
It makes no sense that that's the minimum, but it is. And I'll give a real quick example. My grandson, he's obsessed with Rolls Royces and Lamborghinis, and he's 11.
Oh yeah.
And he texted me. He has a little, it's not really a cell phone, but he can text. Anyway, Grammy, I saw a Lamborghini on Georgetown Road. That's where they live in Pottsboro. I screenshotted that because I've been trying to talk my son and his wife into upping their auto limits, their liability limits.
Yeah.
And I screenshotted that and said, if there's, I'm sure he didn't really see one. I'm sure he
Yeah.
saw what he thought was one.
Right.
Because he also thinks he saw a YouTube star at Chick-fil-A. So, I don't know. But anyway, I said, if they have these kind of cars on Georgetown Road, you really need to increase that limit.
Yeah. A little fender bender for that thing is gonna just skyrocket your.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he said it was hilarious. But all seriousness, I mean, there are expensive cars, and just average cars are more than $25,000.
Well, last year when I went to that Italy to Paris tour, that was here in Texas, fun. That one guy brought his Ferrari out, and I started thinking, I was like, man, we all have like junkers out here. Like I paid $1,000 for this random car to throw tomatoes at driving down the highway. It was great. and there's a Ferrari or a Lamborghini sitting there with us, like $300,000-$400,000 car running with all of our, $500 cars.
Yeah. Yeah. They're out there. You're exactly right. Well, even just the average price of a new vehicle now is just astronomical.
And one of our employees, it wasn't their fault, but they were in Dallas, had a fender bender, but it was like 3 or 4 cars involved.
Oh.
So whoever's fault that was, it wasn't theirs, but that's
Chain reaction.
Chain reaction
Yeah,
that
you're gonna be
happens
on the
all
hook
the
for it.
time. So
Yeah.
yeah. So we don't want to wait till you have a claim to get an education about
That's
this.
exactly right.
Let's talk about it now. Talk to your agent about it now. At least know what your premiums would be, so you can make an educated decision.
That's a good point. I mean, how many people actually know what their premiums are?
I don't know.
Probably not very.
No,
Not large.
everybody knows what their premiums are.
Well, the premium, but not their coverage, right?
Right,
Not
not
their
the coverage.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They'll tell you exactly how much they pay and how much they don't like it.
That
But
is-
you're like, so what are your limits?
Right. I don't know. I think I have. Yeah. Whatever the state requires.
Whatever the other guy gave me.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, awesome. Well, how do folks get a hold of you guys if they're interested in learning more about an umbrella or self-insured?
Absolutely. Self-resured retention.
Which we call it SR, which is
There you
easier
go.
than self-insured retention.
Yeah. So you can come see us at Ciera Bank. That's the second floor, or you can call us at 940-549-2525.
Or you can come see us in Hudson Oaks, 2950 Fort Worth Highway, Suite 500, 817-770-0096.
Or visit us online at brianins.com. Brian with a Y.
Awesome. Hey, thank y'all very much for being here.
Thank you.
Great to see y'all. We'll see you next week.
All right.
This is My Maria by Brooks and